He just had to have a service provider. We have young people producing their own YouTube videos. Millions of young people are now producing and sharing their own film with each other, open source, no intellectual property, zero marginal cost. Young people producing their own news media, their own social blogs, near zero marginal cost. Young people contributing to Wikipedia. We've democratized the knowledge of the world. The accuracy is, and it's all for free. And it's a nonprofit website, $50 million a year to keep it, and we're constructing the knowledge of the world, the human race. And we've got millions and millions of students today who are taking massive open online college courses taught by the best professors in the best universities. They're getting college credits, zero marginal cost. Whole industries have been disrupted. Music industry, television, newspapers, magazines, book publishing, and this is only 17 years since that little Napster file sharing service. That is massive disruption. But whole new businesses have emerged, not just Google, Facebook, and Twitter. There are thousands of startups, profit and nonprofit. They're creating the connections. They're putting together the platforms. They're doing the apps. They're looking at the big data. They're doing the analytics. They're creating the programs. It's a revolution. We thought there'd be a firewall that while we could understand how the digital revolution would affect communication, we didn't think it would move from the virtual world to the physical world. What I'm saying now is the Internet of Things, third industrial revolution, has just broken through the firewall in the last 24 months. We now have millions of people, especially here in Germany, but around the world, who are producing their own solar and wind right now this morning near zero marginal cost. And we now have millions of young millennials who are moving from ownership of vehicles and markets to car sharing and networks. And within a few years, those vehicles are going to be electric. They're going to be fuel cell. They're going to be 3D printed with recycled material. They're going to be driverless within 4 years. The marginal costs are plunging in transport, too. Let's go back to Germany. What's happened since that first conversation with the Chancellor? I've had the pleasure over the years to work with the Vice Chancellor, Sigmar Gabriel, and my friend Frank Steinmeier, the Greens. Everybody came on board. What's happened? We are at 33% of all the electricity powering this country today, 10 years later, is now solar and wind. We'll be at 40% before 2020. We'll be 100% renewable energy in this country way before 2040. Why? The fixed costs are plummeting. The fixed costs of solar and wind are on an exponential curve now for 20 years, just like computers. And it's just not widely known. I'm the oldest person in this room today. When I was a little boy in the 1940s and 50s, we had a few computers. And my university invented the first computer, the University of Pennsylvania, UNIVAC. And they cost millions of dollars. And some of you remember the chairman of IBM in history books says, we think we'll need 5 computers for the world. That was an optimistic forecast, maybe 3, 4. The millennials laugh. They're on the floor when I tell them this. We didn't anticipate the Intel chip, Moore's Law, where the engineers started to double the capacity on that little chip and half the cost every 2 years. Now smartphone China, $25. We've got a similar curve in solar and wind. A solar watt in 1979 cost $78. That's the fixed cost of generating 1 solar watt, $79. Do you know what it is this morning? 53 cents. In 18 months from now, 35 cents. That's the fixed cost. We now have power and utility companies in my global consortium who are buying 20-year contracts right now for solar and wind at 4 cents a kilowatt hour right now. And here's the story that nobody wants to talk about, and this is a story that you in the banking industry are going to have to deal with. It's called stranded assets. I sit down with the CEOs of the power and utility companies all over the world every month, and they're frightened to death. Citigroup, as you know, put out a study last year saying we have $100 trillion in stranded assets in the fossil fuel industry. It's over. There's not going to be a way for them to compete with the plunging fixed cost of solar and wind. It can't do it. What do we do with this? This is the biggest bubble in history. And this carbon bubble will make the little subprime look like a tiny parlor game. It's right now. That disruption's in the next 10 years, between now and 2025. We'll come back to how we deal with this in the power industry in a few minutes.